Welcome in to another edition of the JMU Sports News Podcast. I'm Bennett Conlon, joined by Jack Fitzpatrick. It's April 10th. It's Masters Week.
Hello, friends.
Yeah, Jim Nantz is going to retire in about a decade or so.
Hell yeah. April 10th, if you're listening to this when it drops on April 10th or the morning of April 11th, want to let you know that tonight or tomorrow night or yesterday night, depending on when you're listening, Friday, April 11th at Three Notched Valley COLLAB House in Harrisonburg, Virginia, a live episode of To the House with JMU Hall of Famer Delvin Joyce, and I'll be there as well to make sure that everything works. We learned from our JMU Sports News Live podcast last time around. We've worked out some of the kinks. There probably will be kinks again, but come on by. We have a couple special surprises in store. Trying to work on some good guests to swing through and chat it up about JMU football. It's the day before the spring game, so why not come a day early, get a hotel, put some money into the local Harrisonburg economy and come check out the To the House podcast. Starting at around 5 p.m., there's the football alumni golf tournament, which we will go live at. We will go live after that. So, if they turn into a playoff situation and go a little late, I hope Delvin walks away with the trophy if there is a trophy. I don't know what type of tournament this is, if it's like a legit competition or if it's just a way for all the football alumni to come together and have a good time.
Probably that, but they might have some prizes.
Maybe one of the prizes is being a guest on the To the House podcast.
That's a pretty big deal.
It's a huge deal. Massive. You know what else is a massive deal?
Alonza Barnett pads.
How'd you know that's where I was going?
Just huge news across the JMU universe.
I mean, I guess that's what happens when you podcast together for 6 years.
We have some chemistry now after 6 years.
It took 6 years, but we've developed it. We found it out.
So what do you make of that? Because
the chemistry quickly goes off the rails with an awkward silence, and it's broken with a clunky question.
You were going to say something about him and pads, but we were sort of the first to this news, right? Not the pads, but the stuff.
I was like, we were definitely not the first to the pads because we have been locked out of practice.
We were like, hey, this dude is legitimately hurt. We're hearing some not great stuff about his status based on how he went down in the Marshall game. So now he's back in pads, which is exciting. But also maybe doesn't mean anything based on kind of what Chesney was saying afterwards. It's a weird situation in my book.
It sounds like it means nothing. It sounds like this was done as a little thing to dangle out to all of us fans and reporters to be like, look over here, look over here. Then meanwhile, on the other side of the field, it's Sluka and Coleman actually competing for the quarterback battle. But Chesney's like, look. And we all are like, ooh, Barnett, pads, wow. Katie Harper asked a really good question from the DNR afterwards, essentially being like, did you expect this? And Chesney has a very great Chesney answer where he goes, no, I didn't expect it, not in my wildest dreams. Then kind of rambles on some more, says he's nowhere close to being ready to go, then rambles on some more and wraps up the answer with saying, he's close.
His answer doesn't make any sense. Yeah, he's like, no, this is incredible. And he's like, we got him out there and he can't do anything really.
Well, Katie asked a follow-up where she's like, are you worried about him maybe going too hard in practice? And he was like, no, we have a guy yelling at him not to put any weight on the leg. And it's like, so he's not good at all. He just took the process of putting pants on that had a little extra padding in them on this, I guess it was Monday, rather than putting on sweats, he put on a pair of sweats that hold pads to okay, cool. All right. I mean, sure. Did you see how big the brace was too?
Yeah.
That thing's massive. I will be shocked if he is cleared for, we didn't get that answer when he'll be cleared for contact because he's still very much just a body that stands on grass right now.
Right. He's not cleared for contact. He's not even cleared for certain mobility stuff. So non-contact movement stuff he's not supposed to do, right? That's why they have the trainer kind of watching him like a hawk. They said his first pass went for a touchdown, which probably meant goal line drill, nobody near him, maybe even no defense, and he hits a guy wide open in the end zone probably. But it's again, it did feel very much like a media dangling thing where it's like, look at how great he is. Give him a little press where it's like, wow, what a guy. Even though he has truly no chance of winning the starting job.
Which is also kind of hilarious, the fact that it was never reported on that he was injured. It just was like accepted that he was hurt because he just showed up to the Boca Bowl with like a
Yes.
big brace, and everyone was like, and he didn't play in the Boca Bowl because it was like he said he was hurt, right? I forget exactly what terminology Chesney used, but like we've yet to be officially told what the injury
Yeah.
was. And I don't
Yes.
think we've ever been officially told that like it was a significant injury. We've just all gathered that from the context clues. We've used our deductive reasoning skills that we were taught in third grade that, oh, quarterback who started all year not playing in big bowl game and has brace, probably bad injury.
Right. So it's like, I don't even know if they said that it's his knee, even though it's clearly his knee. Like, I don't know if they officially said that. So we don't know exactly what happened to the knee.
It was a
We
non-contact knee leg injury.
That required a significant surgery, it appears.
Yes.
And then we had heard, right, that he did have kind of a bum ankle throughout the season that I think they might have cleaned up in the
I've
off
heard
season.
yeah, I've heard that too. Yeah.
So like his legs have undergone a lot of like surgical repairs. Matthew Sluka has played a ton of college football. Cam Coleman's played a lot of college football. They're both healthy going through the process. Coleman's got his top two targets from Richmond on the roster. Sluka knows Dean Kennedy in that like offensive scheme probably better than Barnett does, to be honest. So it like there's no way he's going to start in week one. I would expect him to like medically redshirt the whole year if he doesn't like try to go somewhere else. Like his future at JMU is very up in the air. It's nice that he got the story this week, but like
I think you texted this to Daniel Merriman and I, where it's like Tyshawn Wyatt vibes, because Tyshawn
yeah,
was practicing like in fall camp last year. He was participating and at times like doing drills off on the side, sometimes in some pads, sometimes just like off doing his own thing. And we all were, it was kind of, well, I guess no one was allowed to report on that. That may be why we got kicked out. But he ends up taking the whole year off redshirting. Who knows if he was ever really healthy enough to come back and play, maybe for the last five
right.
games of the season, and didn't want to burn the red shirt, which is a totally valid thing because the line was playing all right in his absence. But that could be the route Alonza takes, or he uses it to medically redshirt and then put his hat in the ring again next year
Sure.
with Camden Coleman and a graduated Sluka, and then you would assume a J.C. Evans could potentially
Right.
be in there.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, I don't expect him to play. Also, you know the Brian Windhorse meme where he's like sitting back and he's like, "What could this mean?"
Yeah.
Dean Kennedy and Bob Chesney brought in two 6'3", 220 plus bodies for the quarterback position in the wake of this injury. Alonza Barnett is 6'2". Something tells me that Alonza does not fit the prototypical quarterback
Yes.
size and style that Dean Kennedy like. Dean Kennedy's first quarterback recruit, Chesney's first quarterback recruit, is J.C. Evans, who is a 6'5", 220, 230
Yep.
massive human. So my Brian Windhorse finger pointing memes too could be, I don't know if they like Alonza's body style. He was great, and I'm not trying to poo-poo him. Like, Alonza is a very good quarterback and showed flashes of being really, really good. But I think this kind of opened the door, and he may be getting Wally pipped a little bit, where the door was open, and Chesney and Kennedy have seen it as like, maybe we can bring in guys that are the quarterback style that we want.
Yeah, I think they like that 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", 6'6" guy who can run and be a
6'7", 6'8",
6'8",
6'9".
6'9", 7'3", 7'4", 7'5", like a Wemby type
Yeah.
that they could bring in.
A type where you could just have them lay down and get the first down.
Right, they catch the snap and they just sort of dive
Yeah, exactly.
forward, and they can maybe the lineman carry him or something. Lots of things they could do, but they clearly like the bigger body. I think a guy who can be maybe a little bit of a power runner. Barnett had a ton of passes like tipped at the line last year. That became frustrating for a while, where he was getting stuff batted down. His scrambling is an area we pointed to as where he could improve, but his deep balls were nice. He's got all the arm talent in the world, but I don't know if he fits exactly what they're looking for. And I think that's probably something that he's aware of, given the fact that, like, of the quarterbacks on the roster, what, it's him and Billy Atkins were ones who were not recruited by
Yeah.
Chesney and Kennedy, essentially. So it's a weird room, man, because JC Evans is probably QB5. He might, like, he's overqualified to be QB5.
Yeah. I imagine too that they have been very communicative with Alonza about his
Oh, big
future
time.
within the like this
Yeah,
this staff I think is a lot more communicative and a lot more open with the players than Signetti's staff was. And
yeah,
so I imagine that Alonza knows what his future is, and we're just here speculating on it all. Um, but on Talking Dukes, our show on ESPN Richmond, Matt Joseph said something that I thought was a little crazy, and I want to get your take on it. And I think you might side with Matt a little bit based on what you just said. He was like, between Sluka, Coleman, if Alonza's healthy, that's
sure.
a big if, but so you got Cam, Sluka, Alonza, JC, and then what Billy showed in the bowl game, if
Hmm.
that is actually who Billy is, who's just like a good game manager, he was like, those are five very good quarterbacks that you would feel comfortable with in week one starting. And I was like, I think there's a hard teardrop from
Yeah, there is.
Sluka and Cam to the rest where I would not feel comfortable. Alonzo, I'm not including in that because I just don't think he'll be healthy. So I think that's
Yeah,
just
I
a
don't either.
non-starter. If you threw JC Evans out week one, I would be very upset.
Well, I mean, there's no chance that's going to happen, I don't think, right? Billy and JC are like your overqualified backups,
Yes.
I would say. And then Coleman and Sluka, I think you're pretty good taking either of those guys. And in week one, I'm almost throwing out with the FCS game. But going into Louisville, week two, Friday night game,
Who
you
would
got a
you
chance.
who would you rather have? Because something we talked a lot about with the McLeod Barnett battle was
Yeah.
we want McLeod going into that game against UVA because he's been in those scenarios when he was playing in the Pac-12 at Arizona, even during his time at USF. That's who you want, the experienced guy going in. With Sluka, he's experienced those big games. Granted, a small sample because he left UNLV after they forgot to pay him. Cam has played in big games as a freshman, as a sophomore, but he hasn't played in as many big games like that, like an FBS Louisville. Maybe the biggest game he played in was the UVA game Richmond played in last year. Would you have a preference there? Like, do you think that sways your opinion at all, or Cam on Cam or Sluka?
I'm going to be shocked if it's not Sluka, to be honest. Like,
Okay, so
I'm
you've
going to be surprised if it's not Sluka. I think Coleman's got a ton of game. I think he'd be a good fit. I do think it'll be a competition. I just, like, I keep going back to last year where, like, Tyler Purdy was getting reps over Mallory and some running backs because of that. I think because of the Holy Cross connection and the trust there. Like, hard to make a case that Mallory shouldn't have been getting those carries.
Mallory. There's a Mallory should be running back one. No, no. Mallory should be running back zero. He should be so high up on that depth chart. Sorry, that's beside the point.
But he was playing really well last year. He's got more, like, Purdy was never breaking runs for like 40 yards. Mallory can do that. Mallory can break multiple tackles. Like, Purdy's just very, very solid.
Purdy
But
is
they
3 yards
trust
in a
him.
cloud of dust.
But he also, like, his pass protection didn't hold up all year, where Mallory I thought was a little better in that. Even Petaway at times was better in that. Not that anybody cares. But the point I'm making is they have a lot of trust for the Holy Cross guys. Like, they had a ton of trust in those guys.
Yeah.
So I think there's Sluka connection. Like, I'm going to be surprised if Sluka isn't the guy, which might irritate fans at times because the completion percentage, it's not going to be there. Like, we've seen him play football for like 5 years,
It's like a
and there's going to be
50%.
some throws that are just way off. But he hits other throws. He can hit some big plays, and as a scrambler and a runner, he's a lunatic. Like, he throws his body into positions that are unbelievable. He's really physical. If you can play good defense, you have the running backs they have. They have a great receiver room. I think Sluka is going to be their guy. I do think it'll be a fun competition to watch, but I'm just going to be surprised based on what I saw last year with how much they trusted the guys they had seen in previous seasons. It's going to be hard for Coleman, I think, to win the job. I think he would be set up great to win the job the following year. I just think if they win eight or more games, I think the entire coaching staff will leave.
Well said.
I think it's going to be an extremely strange season from, like, roster management, because of like cuts and managing these guys in the quarterback room.
The House settlement hasn't passed yet. We don't know if cuts are coming.
Yeah, because they might actually phase in roster limits. But I don't know. Chesney had a comment, I think, at the DNR or something, that he would still consider just rolling them out because they were like ready to go with it. I don't know. So they might still cut. None of that made any sense. So we'll see what they do there. But the roster management's going to be weird. The fact that I think Chesney's angling for a P4 job pretty hard is going to be fascinating to watch throughout the season. Are they in the playoff mix? Because we're going to know by the end of September whether they have a legit chance of that or not. It's a big year. They have a lot of talent. But yeah, I think it'll be Sluka just because I think they trust him probably more than most players.
All right. I'm still staking my claim in.
You're a big Coleman guy.
I'm a big Coleman guy. Still staking my claim in Cam. What he did at Richmond was really good. In a non-quarterback friendly environment at times.
It's like the Todd Centeio thing where it was like, man, if he could do anything at Colorado State,
yeah, that's kind of the approach with Cam. And then the fact that he has Landon and DeGennaro.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, two of your top 3 target getters this year could be guys that were his top 2 target getters a year ago. Because you look at the wide receiver spot, Landon's battling with Dylan Williams for that like big bodied wide receiver. They're the 2 big bodies. I think DeGennaro is going to be the kind of Cam Ross role where it's the go-to target. The only difference between the 2 is DeGennaro doesn't drop the ball in high leverage moments, where Cam Ross at times had a case of the butterfingers. And then I think we'll see Yamir Knight in the slot.
Yeah, they're built like way better at receiver this year, which is exciting. And they're still offering some guys, some like high level guys. So they might be looking for another like big burner type, which they don't really have.
Yeah.
To fill kind of the Dawson role.
They got a Logan Kyle.
Yeah. Yeah, he can run. He can run.
In college football 25, he was like a 95 speed, and it was just utterly broken. You just ran him on a tight end seam, and it was just like touchdown, touchdown, touchdown.
Yeah, it's an interesting group.
They did just offer a linebacker from Eastern Michigan. What does that tell you about their thoughts on the linebacker room?
I think they want depth at linebacker kind of bad. It's an interesting group. That's the one that's probably the most questionable. You've got Trent Hendrick, Gannon Weathersby, your guy, or transfer, what is it, JT Kwame Yao from Shepherd, D2 guy we spoke to earlier this year.
Yes. Sorry, I'm pausing to... This is a perfect time to say this. I despise the new website.
Yeah. Because the roster, is that how it like doesn't load right away?
The roster doesn't load right away, and it looks like they've taken off the spring guys.
The spring guys.
Remember, they had all the guys without numbers on the roster?
They should still be there. You have to scroll all the way to the bottom so it all loads, and it takes like 30 seconds to a minute, and then they repopulate.
Okay, awesome.
And the search function like doesn't work the same. I was trying to search by like position, it just like wasn't doing it right.
Yeah, so this is... Can we
it's gonna
please
be annoying?
fix this? Like
really annoying.
Because I just loaded up and I had my heart stopped because all the linebackers were listed except for JT Kwame Yao, and I was like,
it makes it seem like they don't have anybody on the team. Yeah,
I was like, did he leave the team already? But
and
okay,
then Trayshawn Dye's my guy.
Treshawn
Dye.
I don't think it's Trayshawn. I think it's Trosh. It's not Trayshawn.
Trashawn. Dye.
Yeah, just die.
45.
We'll confirm that one. I was talking to Jacob Dobbs the other day, and Dobbs said his name, and it was not Trayshawn. It was like Treshawn.
Okay. He's a beast. Dye's a beast. So they have some options, but yeah, they're offering like, what was it, like Luke Murphy or something from Eastern Michigan who had like 95 tackles last year. So they're clearly looking for a starter caliber linebacker, which kind of makes sense. Add some depth to the relatively unproven room. The defense still gives me some questions, to be honest with you.
Really?
Yeah.
So offense, I don't think there's any questions on offense. Offensive line should be really good. Yeah. Receivers are fantastic. The running back room is like a copy and paste. Don't know how they kept Pet away. Shout out to the NIL collective.
Knock on wood. Yeah. Spring portal window coming up here.
Okay, so take me through some of your concerns on the linebacker real quick. Or not the linebacker, just the defensive side.
All of it, man. It's like they lost a lot on defense. Mans, Eric O'Neill, obviously. So they get in. they get in Xavier Holmes. They've got Gobara or whatever it is from Notre Dame. Even Gobara seems talented, but like didn't play at all due to injuries at Notre Dame. Like they had him medically retire so that he could stay like on scholarship and then transfer. Linebackers, they lose Dobbs, Torres Jones. They lose some experience there. Spence was really productive last year. They lose him in the secondary. Secondary should probably be all right. But corner, I still have a few questions there, although it sounds like the transfers are playing decently from what Chesney's been saying. I just don't know. I need to see it.
That's fair. I Something that is interesting to me is last year in the spring portal, they essentially tested the young guys in the secondary. They were like,
Yeah.
okay, we're not going to go out and get a ton in this first portal window, and we're going to see how they play in spring. That's when we saw guys like KJ Flo and Chase Regan start to kind of develop.
Mm-hmm.
But then the coaching staff made the decision they're good, they will be good, but they are not what we need right now to win a lot of football games in 2024. So what they
Yeah.
do, they went out and they got Ray Williams, they got Chris Sheeran, who was the unsung hero of
Yeah.
that defense. They got a couple other guys in that spring portal in the back end. Back end seems short up. You still got Chase Regan. You still got KJ Flo, Mekhi Rogers, TJ McGill look like they're going to be really
Oh
good.
yeah.
Chance Harley looks like he's going to be good. So the back end looks solid. I wonder if they're doing that same approach on the defensive line because you're
Maybe.
set with Emmanuel Bush in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Amar Thomas is a redshirt junior. He's been around the block, but he's never been the guy. You brought in Xavier Holmes. I wonder if they're trying to test out some of these other guys. I mean, we heard all of the love for Michael McMullen last season. Maybe they're giving him a chance to kind of develop into something in the middle. And there's other guys across that line that might get an opportunity to maybe show some flashes more in the spring game. And then they'll decide, okay, we'll bolster up on the D line. We'll bolster up depth at the linebacker position because maybe we can't trust Danny Regan the way we were hoping we could trust him. We can't trust Jackson Hamill, Brandon Feek the way that we thought we may have. And we might need to go out and get more depth.
Yeah. I mean, I like what they've done so far. I just have some questions about the defense because they had some playmakers on the defensive line last year that were just huge. So I'm hopeful that they can still have that great front seven, but I do think they can use like 1 to 3 starting caliber guys in that front seven.
We might see Terry Lockett develop a little bit more.
That's true because he moved into that a different kind of role where they had him at like defensive end at Syracuse.
Yeah. And he's a 6'2", 280 man. That is a defensive tackle if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, especially the Sun Belt level.
Yeah. That's why Emmanuel Bush is so good. 6'1", 315. All right.
Absolute beast. But like Fitzgerald last year was so good on the inside. I mean, there's some guys that are leaving that are going to be tough to replace. But at the same time, they should.
They got Kels Bush too. I forgot about Kels Bush.
Kels Bush will be an interesting one because his PFF at Louisiana Tech was rough. So I'm interested to see like if they think they get more out of him because he was like grading out in the 40s there.
He's 6'3", 310. It might just be like
He's
a big
huge.
body. Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe he can give them what they're looking for because he started his career at LSU, so there's talent there.
All right. Anything else on football? Anything you're watching for in the spring game, even though we can't technically watch it, so we're just like looking at tweets?
Let's see what they say. Weather looks like absolute garbage. It's going to be like high 40s. I imagine the attendance will stink. But I want to see what we see out of the quarterbacks. I wonder if we can just finally get it down to like, hey, it's these two.
Yeah.
And this is what we're getting at. And then I want to see if he gives any hints for portal of like, we need this. And if we get this, we'll be good. Because I don't know. They should be a playoff contending team, but Louisville's tough, man. They get Liberty. Like they got to make sure that their roster is ready to go. And then also, you going to lose anybody?
Yeah, that's the big thing. Like monitor that. You know what I'm really interested to see at the spring game?
This will be good.
The new seats that won't be
in
there.
Yeah,
but in my mind, I can think of them there.
Yeah, give me some takes here. They changed the seating a little bit. You got any takes?
This is both a good and a like it is fair to be excited about it, and it's also fair to be upset about it. Like for the people who are like, what do you mean? How can you even think this is bad? This is so good. It's like, well, no. A seat back chair on the other side in the shade where the sun's not blaring into your eyes costs about 40% less than what they're going to charge for these, which is like $150 for tickets in the middle of general admission, which I know Ben and I have been there. It's
Oh yeah.
full of students and raucous, young, drunk alumni. And so, like, if I'm spending $150, which is similar to the club level, I am at, I've never actually looked at what club level single game tickets cost, but like, I don't know. I think that's a little weird. I think sticking like what will be more, and I say this in a loving way, I don't say this in a rude way, like more hoity toity fans than like the people spending $30 to tailgate and watch a football game. That's interesting. Taking away that many seats for general admission is going to be a bummer. I think the messaging from JMU was all over the place and they were not expecting any pushback whatsoever. And the second pushback started, they started flailing in what their messaging was. Because, I mean, one, they said the student tickets will not change, which means the general admission will take a heavy hit in the amount of general
Mhm.
admission happening. But then they said this change meets the demand that they saw the last season. But we have been pushed this narrative for the last 2 years that they have been selling out and it has been above 100% capacity, which might be true. Like they might be doing all of that, but they're not selling it out. You know what I mean? So it's just weird to be like, we've been selling it out and we need to expand Bridgeforth. And then they announce this and they're like, well, actually, we have not been meeting the demand to sell out our general admission and we've just been opening up more student tickets every game for free and that just fills it. And it's like, okay, so we don't need to expand then because you're not selling out every game. You are filling every game, but you're not selling out every game. Is that what I'm understanding, right, JMU?
Yeah, I don't have too many strong takes on it, but they essentially, so if anyone missed it, I don't think anyone of our listeners in April did, but they've got premium seating now on the, what is it, the east side? It's essentially it's the little the little side, right? The visitor bench, you got the small stands, the middle of it near like the 50 and stuff used to be GA/student. It's now going to be this premium section. It could be a small revenue driver, but they
It's
have to
not
tear.
maximizing revenue. I can tell you that. It's
No.
increasing revenue, but it's not maximizing.
Yeah, so it's because they have to tear out seats, like so there'll be fewer seats over there because they're putting like the trays in front of you or tables or whatever. It's not a bad setup, right? Where like you got a seat back, you can put your
It's a
drink and food in front of you.
and that's why it's
I
positive.
got it.
It's increasing revenue and it's a cool thing and it's a nice step forward to help modernize that side of the stadium.
Yeah. And it's temporary because at some point they're going to
Yeah.
rip that guy down and they're going to build like an actual setup thing, but they might have something similar, or maybe there's like areas where you can stand and have tables, or whatever. I don't know exactly what they plan to do with that side in the future, but it is what it is. We'll see how it looks. I have questions and concerns because like you turn on a men's basketball game and the TV faces like the club section where you got all these people who are up eating their stuff, just, maybe they're not even in their seat. If they are in their seat, they're just chilling. Where like you've got under the baskets or the student sections that are going crazy, but they're not maybe as focal on the broadcast. Concerned how it might look on the broadcast. If you've got some people just kind of sitting there who are not as rowdy, it's a small side. Like it's the camera facing there and not the other way, which is just how it works out. Kind of sucks because the other side is where you've got the nice looking stadium, all the people. You've got some decently rowdy sections over there. I'm interested to see how it looks on TV, on ESPN Plus, that stuff. But yeah, it's a minor revenue driver. It's not like you're not competing with the SEC because you have like two sections of seat backs now. It's also not the most innovative thing in the world. Like to have increased premium seating is not a thing that JMU came up with. There are some fans who are like, this is the type of innovation that sets JMU apart. And it's like that. They're kind of just catching up to other places. Like if like Virginia, UVA has premium seating options and different things and different options. And like, you know, all of these schools have various seating options. It's not like a crazy thing to increase by a minor amount in the premium seating. So it is what it is. I want to see how it looks, how it is. Maybe people love it. It turns out great as a temporary solution. Who knows? But yeah, it's still a tiny side. It's still going to be interesting. And we'll see how it changes like the student section, how it changes general admission turnout. My immediate reaction is like, okay,
Yeah.
It's not much of a reaction. So all right, we'll see how it goes.
It's a bummer for me, someone who loves the general admission tickets because they're so cheap. And it's like, okay, well, now there will be less of them, which might create a fake high demand and that's blah, 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 and all the nerd stuff. But according to JMU, this is going to meet the demand where it was, which I think I was more upset about. There's like the messaging of it all, where it's like, I thought we've been selling out. And now you're telling me that we weren't selling out half of the general admission area and you were just filling it with students. Okay.
They also have end zone suites now, I guess,
Yeah.
and they're taking out the bushes. Is that right?
Yeah.
I saw some people sad about the bushes, including our guy, Daniel. I hate the bushes.
You do.
What are the bushes there for? They're not like an iconic thing. They're just like these unnecessary bushes.
People loving the bushes is equal to me loving the old convocation court.
Yeah, I don't get the bushes stuff. So yeah, rip those out. I'm good with that.
Get rid of them.
Last year they did
Plant them
that
in my
thing.
front yard.
Last year they did that like tent in the one end zone near
Yeah.
like the student section. That looked like a terrible view. So I don't know, like maybe people love the end zone suites, man. I'm my thing at my age is like I want the cheapest ticket I can get that I don't bake in the sun. Or if it's October, November, put me in the sun. But if it's September, I don't want to bake. But I just want like a reasonably affordable ticket that I can go to, or I'm going to watch the game on TV. So I don't care what they do with the premium. If people are going to pay for the premium, it gives them more revenue. Good for them. I just want like a cheap seat, some brewskis to have a nice time.
You can put
sunburned.
singular. I know you. You
I'll
brewski.
have a brewski and I'll be good to go for 4 full quarters. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have that like strong a take on it. It just kind of is what it is.
Fair. As we wrap things up, quickly men's basketball transfer portal. Red Thompson, he finds a new home. Mark Freeman entered the transfer portal with what eligibility? We're trying to figure that out as we speak. And they've offered a couple of, not offered, they've had visits set up. Carmelo Pacheco, a Harrisonburg native, is probably the most notable one up to this point.
3-point shooter, shooting like 45% from three last year. I think 46% from Mount St. Mary's. He's visiting on Monday, he told us. Yeah, so we'll see there. It's pretty much what he does. He just like shoots threes. They've got some other guys that they're looking at, some other guards. Apparently, they've been in contact with like a 7-footer from Pacific. I don't know. We'll see how it turns out. Hopefully, they can get a team that maybe gels a little better than last year's did.
Yeah. JMU baseball over on the diamond. They won a game. So everyone put your hands together. They have won a game. It was an 8-2 win against Longwood in the midweek on Tuesday. They're back in action against Troy this weekend. They are 4-8 in conference play. So we shall see.
I started 4-2 in conference plays. They lost 6 in a row, 2 consecutive sweeps. I do think it's going to be fascinating. And I think somebody in the media needs to do this. At the end of the year, you got to talk to Matt Rohn. You got to get a one-on-one, and you got to ask him his thoughts on football, on baseball and softball. Because he did not give Eikenberry the ridiculous contract that Bourne did, where he got this auto 2-year extension for finishing top 4 in the Sun Belt. They're both through 2028. Neither team's playing particularly well. I don't think he's going to fire either, but I do think that's the kind of story you got. You got to ask the guy, like, what are we doing here? What's the goal for these programs? Because it's not his fault that they're in the position that they are, but it would be interesting to hear his take on like were there, because Bourne, you'd ask about Eikenberry and he came up with some incredible quotes, right? Where he's like, God, COVID hits, an injury hits, it rains one of the days, tough schedule. The astrology, right? It's the year of the tiger or whatever. And he would come up with all these excuses for why baseball didn't do well. I'd be interested to hear Roan's take on like what the program needs to do to, make more than one regional every like 15 years.
That's fair. On the softball side, positivity. They're winning some games. They have won 5 in a row. They won against Georgetown, a doubleheader last week on Wednesday. Then they swept Georgia State on the road, which is great. And now, you know what their reward is?
Louisiana.
Yeah, one of the best mid-major softball programs in the nation.
Been crummier this year, though. They're still better than JMU, but like I don't know. If they win that series, like, okay, you got something going there. If they like get
Four
swept or something, it hurts you right back in the heart.
4 games under 500 as it stands now for softball. If they're able to do well this weekend, it's 3 games down in Lafayette. Could be the momentum that they need, that they finally have figured out. But a tough start to conference play, but they're maybe turning the corner.
They lose their first 9, right?
Yep. They were 0-9 to start.
They've had a 5-game losing streak this year and an 11-game losing streak this year.
And a 5-game winning streak. All right, and on the lacrosse side, they've won their last 2 games after falling 17-8 against number 5 Johns Hopkins back on March 26th. It was a win against Charlotte and then a win against Georgetown up at Georgetown in D.C. Next up, it's an April 12th match in Philly against Temple in American Athletic Conference play. Then they're on a Wednesday midweek against Liberty at home as well. So teams sitting at 8-4, they're 3-0 in conference play. Looking pretty solid. Looking like they're about a top 25 team, but probably not near the top of that top 25.
Yeah, they're in decent shape. They've had some tough losses, but 11th in the RPI as of this morning. So tough schedule. They've done some nice things. You know, they just every year you're just pleased with how they're doing.
Yeah. All right.
And, yeah. Nobody. I can't say that for anybody else.
Yep. No one else. No one on the Diamonds. That's for sure. For Bennett, I'm Jack Fitzpatrick. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you for listening to the JMU Sports News Podcast. We'll be back some.